Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the AI InterConnect podcast. I'm your host, Lauren. At AI InterConnect, we speak with founders, operators, and experts understand how they think, how they built, and how they solved real problem in their industries. AI InterConnect is also a platform where conversation lead to ideas, collaboration, and sometimes new opportunity across ecosystems. Today, I'm joined by Robbin Payapilly, founders of InnerThinkLab, and InnerThink Labs, a leadership transformation, help organization develop stronger leaders through coaching, behavior intervention, and customized leadership program. Robin, thanks for being here. Very, very happy to have you on the show.
Hello, hi everybody. Thank you, Lauren, for calling me for this conversation. Looking forward to. Thank you. Thank you so
Wonderful.
much.
Yeah, very excited. We are in Mumbai, no? Correct?
Absolutely. I live in Mumbai.
Wonderful. Okay, then let's start. Let's start with your background, so listeners
Sure,
understand
sure, sure.
the path that led you here. You spent many years in learning and development, talent management, and organizational leadership. Um,
Yeah,
before
yeah.
starting your own company. Um,
Absolutely.
that that death usually shape a very clear perspective. Robin, how did your experience in corporate leadership and AR led you to start InnerThink Labs?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So before getting into my corporate experience and the perspective, I think I should talk a little about my past, as in my story. From the college, I in fact went to a law college in Pune, a place called Pune in India. After which I was in sales for about almost 10 years. During those years as a sales manager, one of the KPIs for me was to train my own people, my team members. I was supposed to build the skill in them to sell the products because I was with the telecom products. I started off with pager, then I moved into EPA, BX, the telephone exchange. So during those days, I learned about something called Spanco, a fantastic selling system, which I was supposed to in turn train my team members. That's how I developed a little bit of interest in skill development. Then something really changed in me because I was curious about why people behave the way they behave. I got interested in humans, the way people behave. Why do they behave like that? So that is what made me get into the learning in depth about human psychology, about human behavior, about the human transformation. That's how my initial days in learning and development was as a freelancer, doing learning and development training programs for various organizations. Again, I had to do a lot of skill building during those days. In fact, I had also traveled a couple of cities in India to train people in sales. Later on, I joined a corporate. Okay, in 2000, since 2010, I have been with the corporate. And the journey has been amazing because the thought process what people have when they act on something may not really always aligned with the action vis-a-vis the thought process. So that became a part of my study. So that's how I did a lot of researches around human behavior. I got a lot of certifications done about human personalities and why do they behave, something like, say, Enneagram, DISC assessments, and SOCI, MBTI, all these things I learned. So that's been my journey. That's how the journey started off.
Okay, I
Hmm.
love it. I love it. And I will jump to okay then. What I find interesting is that you're not just doing coaching. You're combining leadership development, culture intervention, and transformation work. Um, when you explain InnerSync labs to someone outside your field, how do you describe what you do and who you help?
Absolutely. So that's a very interesting question because today, if I have to really look at my clients and organizations in general, the culture rolls down from the leader. So when you work around the leadership team, you are actually building the culture of the organization itself. And by the end of the day, the organizations become profitable, the organization becomes very effective based on the culture of the organization. How do these thousands of people behave in a certain circumstance? How do they respond to things? How do they have conversations? How do they build their capability and so on? So I realized that it is very important for me to work along with the leaders of organization. So by way of executive coaching, that's one way of doing that. Apart from that, I also create cohorts within organizations and have conversations, have workshops, and it is not about doing just one workshop or two workshops and moving out of the scene. It is about creating a period, a duration of around, say, 6 months to 9 months to 12 months, and being with them, staying with them, helping them to maneuver through the path. So that's an amazing journey because by the end of what you do, you also get to see the results. So this is what it is, and these leaders in turn would change the culture of the team. They would increase the effectiveness and efficiency of the teams. This is how it helps organizations today.
Yeah, I love it. And which type of organization get the most value from your work?
I think larger organizations, anywhere above, say, 1,000 crores Indian rupees, I'm talking about Indian currency, I think they have a responsibility even towards the society today. Of course, it is easy to work with small enterprises because the complexities would be very less. It doesn't take much time to convince the management to have a certain path, to decide a certain path and start working on when it comes to smaller organizations. But when it comes to larger organizations, the impact within the organization and impact within the society are truly big, perhaps because they do have a major influence on the society when it comes to the social norms, when it comes to the culture building, and so on. So, I think the most powerful is to work along with larger organizations, if you ask me.
Okay. No, no, definitely. I okay, I love it. And you mentioned that many organizations struggle with leadership communication, strategic thinking, and long-term vision.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
right now, what feels like the hardest leadership problem organizations are facing when they try to grow?
That's a very interesting question because I think I can talk to you about the biggest problem today leaders face when. If you really ask me, strategic thinking is all about decision making, the right decision making, and it is also about choosing your direction. It is also about not choosing one direction. See, more than choosing, it is about deciding what not to choose.
Mhm.
So that's about strategic thinking. And today, the leaders face a big challenge because they tend to see their departmental requirements all alone. So it's like saying, usually we use this term called, departments working in silos. But if you ask me, I would say I don't want to use the term silo. They miss the big picture. There is no enterprise thinking. When you talk about any leadership thinking, there are three levels. I say that, one is about, okay, me. That's purely about the task thinking, because what I have been asked to do, I will do that. That's one level of thinking. When you move into the next level of thinking, it is a departmental thinking. Oh, it's about my team, it's about my department, my function, and I'm going to be the best in the organization. But when the leader thinks like this, he actually misses out the big picture. He is not thinking about the organization, he's thinking about how he can be the best in the organization, and probably he may get some rewards, he may get some recognition for the department that may not really add any value to the organization. The third thing, which is required for a leadership thinking, is basically about enterprise thinking. Are you able to see the impact of my decisions in the entire organization? When I take a decision for my department, that is also impacting either positively or negatively many other departments. So that's one of the biggest challenges, if you ask me, when it comes to leadership thinking, the strategic thinking. There are a couple of other areas also. Now, what would you trade off with? What is your pick? What is it you're going to pick? Are you going to look at a long term benefit, or else are you really trying to manage right now with some tactics and say, oh, for time being, I resolve this. But then the later the problem comes back to you again because you've not seen the long term. So how do you really trade off? What are the parameters on which you should take a decision to trade off between two things, three things? This also is a very important thing. So if you really ask me, these two things, I would say that are one of some of the biggest challenges for the leaders today. Of course, there
Awesome.
are plenty more, because if you converse this,
Yeah.
this will get into hours because,
No,
yeah.
definitely. But thank you for these insights, and that makes a lot of sense. You're you're not just running workshops. You are building full leadership journey with follow up and support.
Absolutely.
Um, how do you design a leadership program that actually create long term change instead of just a one time impact?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So I start with the pain area or the problem statement of the organization or the department. I talk to the main stakeholders. I have long conversations with them. I also ask them, if we get on to a journey, a leadership journey today, by the end of this journey, what would make you realize that, okay, my problem is resolved now, or things have really transformed, or things have really changed? This leadership journey has paid me back. This investment was worth it. This is where I usually start. So when we have this conversation, I get a lot of these pain areas. I also understand the environment where these leadership leaders are working. I understand the culture of the organization. I also understand what's working well, what's not working well, what are the barriers for performance within the organization, and so on. Everything gets onto my documentation. Once it's done, I work backwards. How do we mitigate the risk involved in getting organization to the next level, and how do I reach the desirable outcome as envisaged by the top leaders of the organization? Work backwards and create a journey based on the requirement of each leader who is involved in this. Now, if I can give you an example, one of the projects that I'm handling right now, what I have done is I did some pre-work to understand how do these leaders actually behave within the organization. Looked at their performance data, did a 360-degree assessment to understand what do people talk about them, how do people experience them, based on which we also gave a feedback to them, and also created a module around that to start the journey with. And this journey will continue. This is how we create the long programs, which will give us results in terms of effectiveness, not the efficiency. We work on the effectiveness.
Okay. I love it. And then then what role does coaching play after training?
So I wouldn't, first of all, I wouldn't want to use the term training here. There is no training happening. Okay. It's about, so when you have interactions within a room, I call it a workshop. I call it conversations, because
Okay.
at the leadership level, there is no question of training anybody. Trainings were done in the school and college. It's all done. Now, now, now what you live is the reality of life,
Excellent.
reality, the pains of the leadership. So we have the conversation, then we send them back. We tell them now. So most of the conversations are reflective. You think about it. There is no right or wrong answer that we give in a classroom, in a session. So they go back, think about things. When they come across problems, what I give them is, I've told them always that, when you are in a situation, that's the time, pick the phone, dial me and talk to me. We can resolve the problem. We can have a conversation and find a solution then and there itself. So that is the confidence usually I give them. And most of them feel very comfortable. So when they have a problem to resolve, when they have a situation to resolve, they either call me or else they will talk to somebody who is a part of the cohort to discuss the issue. Hey, what is that Robin was talking about? Something like this. So how do we resolve this problem? So they have these conversations. They don't have to always come back to me. I don't need to prove anything, but at the same time, somewhere it should be helpful for them to walk up to somebody and say, hey, I need help. Can we discuss about this? So the solutions lie there, and all the problems do come with a solution. Therefore, they will be able to. So in the coaching series, when you have a structured coaching happening, we discuss about these problems. They come back. So every month we have 1 or 2 sessions based on the design, one-on-one sessions. So once they go back, they apply things that we have discussed during the coaching session, and they also come back after the application to give me a feedback, to tell me whatever has happened. If there is any tweaking required, we go about that also. We take the next decision. So it's always about streamlining, tweaking, moving forward in a direction. So what matters is the direction, and the activities, the how part can always be a little different here and there.
Yeah. And across industries, there is a lot of noise around leadership, culture, and performance, but not always clarity. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
what what are companies getting wrong today about leadership development?
They don't allow conversations. So simple as that. And there is less patience. Where there is less patience, and where organizations are only about numbers, only about money, and not about sustainability or not about stability, there is always a challenge. We should allow the leaders to come up, open up, and discuss, and we should allow them to feel empowered. We always talk about empowerment within organizations, but then in many organizations, I have seen, you take a call as a leader, then they are questioned. So then from there on, it becomes a little difficult for them to take calls. So instead of doing that, how is that you would allow conversations? How would you allow leaders to challenge the management's decisions at times? And I think that kind of a transparency is what is not really working in many organizations. Because when an organization is about hierarchy, when an organization is about numbers, when an organization is about pressure, it's a problem, because it is so much of the load, overload that the leaders are carrying. So we say, no, the cognitive overload, that's a big problem. Back to back meetings, huge pressure on the numbers. You're not allowed to talk. you're not allowed to question. This is where things do go wrong.
Yeah, that's right. Um, and it's hard.
It's
What
hard, yeah.
is misunderstood about culture transformation?
So there is a classic thinking that, the culture has to be taught from the ground. That is a classic mistake. So in a culture transformation project, organizations tend to say that, hey, we don't have a good culture. We need to change the culture of the organization. We need a transformation. So can you start giving a training program for our employees? That never changes the culture. The culture starts from the top. The culture starts from the boardroom. But many organizations do not accept it, even if they realize it, because it's all about the ego. It's all about emotion. Hey, how can we do it? The person, if you're running a fashion store, people who are on the floor should have a certain culture, the customer centric culture. But then, as a boardroom member, I may sit in the room and call my employee and fire him in a different manner. So, where do you see the culture here? The culture is flowing from the top, from the CEO to the security person who's standing at the door of a store, or maybe in an organization, to the last level. So that is a misunderstanding. That's a wrong perception about culture building. Okay, so what you say now, it's so simple as this. In a family also, if you really see, what the parents do is what mostly the children also pick up slowly
That's true.
from childhood. So it goes without saying that is what is called a culture. It is
That's true.
applicable the same way in an organization. So
Yeah, exactly.
become that parent who would set the standards.
Yep, has to be coming from the top. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
the wiser should teach the newcomers, or something like
Yeah,
this.
you are right.
Um, you you mentioned you are exploring AI tools and new platform, even things like video creation tools and automation. How do you see AI and technology influencing leadership development and coaching in the coming years?
Yeah, that same thing today. So for the past 2 years, I've been using AI. Since the time ChatGPT was introduced, I started using it. So those days were exploring days, and I was working with the corporate that time. That was actually my last assignment with the fintech firm as a head of HR. So we tried to use AI in HR. Since it was the beginning of AI days, uh, we could do quite a lot of things. But then today, if you really look back from the last 2 years till date, AI has really evolved. But let me tell you one thing. In the space of leadership, AI can be used for efficiency, not for effectiveness. AI is AI will make you more productive. It will support you. It's an enabler. But the truth is with human beings. You will choose the truth. You will choose humanity. So, end of the day, it is the human being who would call the shots. The AI is by your side to support you, to build your productivity, to increase your efficiency, and so on. Whether it is in the corporate environment or in the coaching environment, in the coaching space also, you can automate a lot of stuff using AI. You can automate your meetings, you can automate thousands of things. So I think that's a big blessing. And going forward, if you really do not adopt AI, you would probably be lagging behind in the next 1 or 2 years. So it's very important that you get used to AI. You must learn how to use AI effectively. That increases your efficiency. You save time. You bring in more profits to the organization. You build a better brand. Of course, you can create a lot of videos today. There are amazing video applications available in the market. So if you have an idea, probably you want to project that idea into the market. You may want to use these videos even without showing your face. That's an amazing blessing. So AI must be used for the betterment of the society. That's what I would believe.
Very good. You're right. You are at the early stage of InnerSync Labs, but always working with organization and building programs. Looking ahead 12 to 18 months, what does success look like for InnerThink Lab?
So I think I should translate this into some certain numbers. Uh, Today, we have approximately around 10 to 12 organizations as our clients where we do deliver programs. Uh, I think in the next 18 months, this number should double. I would want to focus more on the quality rather than the quantity of clients that I have, or maybe the quantity of programs that I have. I would want to really come up with unique ways of identifying the path for leaders to move ahead. That is what I'm looking at. So, on that journey, I am doing quite a lot of research on various aspects of leadership. So, my idea would be to build a team that is well in sync with me, a team that would go out and spread this goodness all around wherever possible in terms of quality. When they speak, people must listen. When we create the content, people should know that there is depth in it. We should be able to deliver value at least to about 25 organizations probably by the end of 18 months more is what I'm thinking. I'm hoping that it would happen, though we don't do
Okay.
so much of marketing today.
Okay, then yeah, I love it. And what will you accelerate if you had fewer constraints? More money, more time.
So the constraints are always there. It is a given. So it is again, it is a choice between two decisions, What do you really want to sacrifice? Do you really want to sacrifice the time? Do you really want to sacrifice the money? You require all of them. You require time to spend, to build. You require money for your marketing. Uh, you require good resources, people who can think alike to take this journey ahead. I think from time to time, I will need to take those decisions. I will need to do quite a lot of trade offs. I may have to sacrifice one to choose the other based on the situations, based on the environment, and keep moving. It's like saying keep walking. So that's what's happening currently.
Okay, yeah, I love it. Then you have worked across corporate and now as a funder, so you have seen both sides. Based on your experience, what should leaders or operators start doing or stop doing to build a stronger organization?
Conversations. Have strong, bold conversations within organizations. You have to call a spade a spade. I think that's the key. And also, you need to know how to take decisions in ambiguity. You may not always have all the data in place. Then, how do you really help your leaders to build that capability where they take decisions based on some data, some experience, some context, all this put together? Can you really deliver? So, they really need to build all this and have the right conversations. Have a little bit of critical thinking. Don't have any biased decisions in life. If a company has moved from 1 million to 2 million, it will not move to a billion in the same way that it has moved earlier. So you need to think differently. Are you able to adapt to the situations? Are you able to know the market? Are you able to get the pulse and take the right decisions? These are some of the keys for any organizations today, because things are moving, especially after the AI has come in the market. Things are moving very quickly. Every second day you have something coming in new. The market is different. Market is very dynamic. So how do you really manage it in this VUCA world? It's very volatile. How do you really move ahead is the question. So are we building such leaders who can think through in such situations and lead teams, lead organizations in a logical manner rather than being biased? I think that's one advice that I would give. So build around leadership and allow people to take decisions, allow people to have conversations. And I think that would strengthen any organization.
That's right. That's right. What habits made the biggest difference in your career?
I think, yeah, that's a very interesting question. I'll have to really go back and check. But I think one thing that I can talk about is when I give my result orientation, when I give a commitment to somebody, I really work on it. Whether it's 2 o'clock in the night or 3 o'clock in the morning, if I have to work and complete the task, I do that. And I think to a certain extent, I'm structured also in life. Because if I have a leadership journey starting on a Wednesday, probably by the previous Saturday, I would have the checklist ready. I would have everything ready. I wouldn't take a chance in the last moment. So I think these are some of the habits that are really helping me. And I'm creating, I have my own systems that I'm managing. So that's about the structure. Yeah. And nowadays, I don't even keep anything for tomorrow. I do it then and there. Every task has to be completed within the timeline. So I look at the time. Time is also very critical for success.
That's
And
true.
it's
I
not
love.
easy. And mind you, it's not easy. Many times we tend to think, okay, I can do it later. But it really doesn't happen. If you take that break, I think you slip. So it's
Yeah,
better put a lot of efforts and get it done. That helps out.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And what what would you tell your younger self starting out?
Good. See, the younger generation, if you really look at, there is a lot of clarity. We also have a lot to learn from the younger generation today. Somebody who's starting off as a young entrepreneur, uh, I would say he or she would definitely have a lot of clarity. But my thought is that they must be a little more critical in their approach. The critical thinking is very it's a need of the hour for any entrepreneur. And also in this world, which is a VUCA world, uh, one thing that I have realized is that the younger generation may not have the kind of courage at times, because we all, if you really look at our own generation, we have gone through everything possible in life. Okay, so have built resilience from childhood. Now, what happens to the younger generation is that, first of all, they are born in a digital world, and being digitally exposed to so much, they have not really seen the real pains of life, the real world. So the resilience comes at a cost to them. Now, you start as an entrepreneur, you start a venture, it may work, it may not work. If it doesn't work, break it, move on. Think about something else. Think about new ways of doing it, or think about a new business to start rather than losing it all. Okay. Resilience is one of the key things I think which they should have. Also, critical thinking is an area where they really need to build to be away from biases that would help them take the right decisions.
That's right. I love it. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
This is great. Thank you for joining. Strong insight into your journey, your industry, and the work you are building at InnerSync Labs. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Lauren. In fact, I was very happy when we connected and we spoke about such a conversation, because I thought that I could talk to somebody who would probably help me also communicate this with others. So it's really amazing. Thank you so much. It was a fantastic discussion that we had now. Okay, thanks a
Y-
lot. Looking forward to having more conversations in the future. Thanks,
Yeah,
Lauren.
you're most welcome, and it makes a lot of sense for our audience. The audience is um, wants to know more about entrepreneurship and building companies and the experience of great thought leaders, but they have
Sure.
to know also from the coaches and people who bring people up, and that's why I thought you're a perfect fit. And where do people can find you and your job and your work and read about it?
Sure. So we have a website called www.innerthinklabs.com. That's our website. I'm also present on LinkedIn. So I think these are the two places where you can really connect. Uh, so LinkedIn is probably one of the best options that you have, because very active out there. People do connect on LinkedIn. All right. And you have the number also available there. And
Wonderful,
I am also available on a mail, robin@innerthinklabs.com. ROBBIN, Robin @ innerthinklabs.com.
wonderful. Thank you, Robin. Thank you so
Thank you.
much,
Thank you,
and
Lauren. Thank you so much.
let's do it again.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.